There's an unspoken part of the Pittsburgh Steelers news cycle this week that I think needs a little bit more attention. And that attention is negative. It stinks, but it's negative. And the Steelers could decide that this is the last chapter in that cycle. The end of a run that never really got started. The end of a player who has so much potential, but just can't stay on the field long enough to make it work. It's time for the Steelers to move on. And what that means for the future of the position is significant because the Steelers just lost not just a key piece that they thought could eventually become a starter, but they lost a piece that at bare minimum was going to be that quality backup for years to come. And right now, as exciting as some other players are, it reworks and rewires the entire thinking of where the Pittsburgh Steelers go at one position and how they need to add not just one piece, but multiple pieces moving forward. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. Before we get going, hit that like button. I come to you every morning, Monday through Friday. A little bit of news, a little bit of analysis. Today, let's talk about the piece of the news. It happened Wednesday. We overlooked it all. Nobody talked about any of it. It did not really make any news cycles, especially on podcasts, especially on our podcast. And looking back as I sat here this morning and tried to figure out what direction I wanted to take my to go, it was clear, oh man, we totally missed Corey Trice. Totally missed Corey Trice. We wrote about it. We discussed it a little bit here, a little bit there, but in the grand scheme of things, the Pittsburgh Steelers made a major decision on a player that may not be part of their future anymore. Coming into the season, Corey Trice was viewed as a guy that they needed to have backup plans for. They went out and they got those backup plans. They got a Jalen Ramsey and a Brandon Echols. And Mike Tomlin would tell you right from the jump, even when Corey Trice was healthy, that Brandon Echols was the team's primary backup. He was number 4. Corey Trice was number 5. He was a guy who was still developing, and no matter how promising his 6 games were a season ago, he's a guy that the Steelers didn't have enough faith in to be that guy off the bench, not after all the injuries. Corey Trice goes down with a hamstring injury. He starts the season on IR. He already counts towards a designated return, which is the worst part of this whole thing, is that the Steelers wasted a return spot on a player that never was able to return. And they had to do it because they had faith Corey Trice at some point would be that guy. They've been hoping. But Terrell Austin said it clear as day at the beginning of the season to me and many other media members that Corey Trice is an NFL corner, but he needs to be on the field. He needs to stay on the field. He can't do that. I think this injury, this moment where the Steelers decided that the knee injury, whatever it was that he suffered, shuts him down for the entire season, means that Corey Trice's time in Pittsburgh has come to an end. That you can only wait so long for a guy to get healthy before you have to move on. And it's not spurts. It's not Corey Trice is missing 3 games here. Corey Trice is missing 2 games here. People will bring up other players. Alex Highsmith is the current one. Oh, Alex Highsmith is hurt all the time. He is. It's hard to deny that. But Alex Highsmith misses 2 games and then he's back for 3. And I get it. That's not consistent enough. I understand that. I'm not making excuses for Alex Highsmith. I'm comparing the two. And the other one is Corey Trice misses entire seasons. He's played in 3 seasons. He's played a total of 6 games. He would play all of the games if he was healthy. He hasn't been healthy, but all but 6 games. That's not enough. The Steelers are most likely going to move on. That opens a whole can of worms about where they go next because they have Joey Porter Jr. and they feel confident in Joey Porter Jr. Joey's right now probably their corner 2 next season as they try to find a corner 1. And it's not like Corey Trice was going to come in here and be the next franchise cornerback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026. The Steelers weren't going to look to do that. They were simply looking to say, all right, Corey, can you be our primary backup? Can you be our number 3 off the bench? Can you be that guy for us for a long time? Because that would be perfect. Joey Porter is the number 2. Chances are the Steelers are going to go get a number 1 somewhere. Maybe it's going to be Jalen. Maybe Jalen will be the number 1 and moving him back from safety to corner is the move. But Jalen looks good at safety. And it's hard to deny that Jalen looks good at safety. And when Deshaun Elliott comes back in 2026, it's even harder to deny that Jalen Ramsey and Deshaun Elliott wouldn't be a fantastic looking duo deep in your secondary. That might be too much to pass up. And if it is, the Steelers have to go another direction at corner. Chances are they find somebody early in the NFL draft to say, you are our next future franchise corner, hopefully, and we will groom you as such. But it also leaves the door wide open because if Brandon Echols is going to be your slot guy, which is a great role for him. I think Brandon Echols fits really well in the slot. I think he plays physical. I don't want Brandon Echols to be a corner 2. As much as I like Brandon Echols, I don't think long-term that is the solution. I think a slot corner is really well suits him for what his needs are best. So you go out and you get an outside guy. You say you're corner 1, Joey's corner 2, Brandon Echols is corner 3 off the bench or corner 3 in the slot. But it also opens up the door. The Steelers got to find somebody else. And I don't know if James Pierre is on their radar enough after one good game, really quality good game. Pierre Island shut right down. Jamar Chase, no entry. But I don't know if James Pierre right now after one game can be considered the future of the bench in Pittsburgh. I just don't. I think he's a quality special teamer. I think the Steelers would love to keep him around. I think he turns into a Ben Skoranek type where he's really reliable, has a role on special teams and defense like Skoranek has one on special teams and offense, but it's not a primary role. It's not this big, giant, significant, if James Pierre plays well, we play well. If James Pierre doesn't play well, we don't play well type of situation. I don't think that's what the Steelers get here. Instead, I think it opens the door that the Steelers got to go out and find another Corey Trice. I think they have to go find another guy that they could groom into a really quality backup that has a ton of potential. And I just don't think that's going to be Corey. I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers chose to move on from Trice after this season. I get it. He's on a rookie deal, 7th round pick, super easy. And they're going to bring him to training camp. There's no chance that Corey is just going to get released in free agency to go find another home. But just like this year, they're going to bring him into training camp with 3 guys ahead of him at least, maybe 4. And he's going to have to fight his way on, and James Pierre is going to be right there. And look, at Corey looks good when he's on the field, but the moment he gets hurt, I don't think the Steelers are going to approach it again saying he's an IR designated for return. I think he'd be an IR released on injury designation or injury settlement, move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's what would happen. And if he stays healthy, awesome. The Steelers just found a guy in a 7th round pick that they got one decent season out of. They'll take it. Because if James Pierre comes out here and has 6 good games, they'll take that too. That's all you're looking for, these depth guys. As much as you could get from them. But I think the Steelers right now, when they're looking to the future, because the Steelers do this. The Steelers look to the future. Every GM is already, the trade deadline has passed. Okay? So they obviously keep an eye on who free agents are and how they can improve their team if they need to improve their team. But a lot of them have the philosophy that this is it. This is their roster for the playoffs. How can they make it and what can they do with it? That's what the mindset is. So most of these guys are already getting really good glances and glimpses into 2026. 2026, Omar's already looking for that next corner. And now he's going to have to look for two of them. He's going to have to look for the guy that replaces Trice and look for the guy that replaces Slay. Hope Brandon Echols is good enough, and maybe you keep Jalen at a safety. But there are two corner spots open for Phil in Pittsburgh next season. And unfortunately, even if Corey comes out here and looks great in the spring, the Steelers have to go out there and they got to find another Corey Trice, because at this point, it's time to move on. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Before you head out of here, hit that like button on this video. Can't thank you enough for that. And as always, find all my work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, I'll be back later for the flagship show. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Burgh.